Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where we are back with another tactical preview live stream because Manchester United are back in action tonight. For once, we don't have to wait like a week between fixtures. We played Sunday, I believe it was. We play tonight and we play again on Monday. The action is coming thick and fast. And what an opportunity United have, because the results this week, not all of them, but several of them, have gone in United's favour. Both Newcastle and Spurs have dropped points. Both Liverpool and Sunderland have dropped points. Chelsea have dropped points as well. Brighton have dropped points. So Manchester United are presented with just an amazing opportunity to climb up the table tonight. If we beat West Ham tonight, we will find ourselves in 5th. Unless we win like 9-0, at which point we would be in the top 4. But that feels a little bit unlikely. But regardless, Manchester United have a great opportunity to go 5th. And we're playing against West Ham, who, if you look towards the bottom of the table, you will see they're sitting in 18th. West Ham has struggled massively so far this season, now under Nuno Espirito Santo, and it's still not really working for them. So United, at Old Trafford, have this brilliant chance to get 3 points on the board. The job for us today is to find a starting 11 that we feel can do that. Now, there's quite a lot to talk about with United's team today, because we have the natural rotation that might be required, having played on Sunday. We've got some players that are performing well, some players that aren't performing well, so perhaps we need to pick some players based on form. And then also, we have this whole little crisis that I saw going on Twitter yesterday, particularly on the FPL side of things on Twitter. Is Bruno Fernandez fit or not? Now, this fella never, ever misses a game with injury. It doesn't happen. But we all saw him with that tight hamstring at the end of the Palace game. Amorim immediately after the game said he's fine. It was just a knock. Everything's fine. But then we've been told that he is nursing a knock. There is potentially a concern there. And then there was this news at the bottom here from Sully, who's been very reliable with United recently. And he said that both Bruno Fernandez and Xerxes trained yesterday morning at Carrington. They are the players set to face a late fitness test. Now, since then, that tweet has been deleted, so I don't know what's going on there. But we might have to talk about Manchester United without Bruno Fernandez, which I don't want to have to do, but we need to have the conversation today, because how can United set up in a different way? But also, of course, always, it gives an opportunity to someone else to come into the team. So, if I can find my tactical board, which I can't right now. Where is it? There it is. There's so many tabs today. So the plan today is to do what we normally do, to go through the Manchester United team, from the goalkeeper to the back 3, to the midfield 2, to the wing-backs, and then to the front 3. Pick players which we think can exploit this West Ham team. We can look at weaknesses in the West Ham system, and we can discuss how they're going to play. And then towards the end of the stream, we will do predictions. We will do scorelines, goal scorers, things like that. And of course, as always, I want you guys in the chat to have a big role in today's stream. Who needs to be coming into the Manchester United team? This is potentially a game where we're going to dominate the ball at Old Trafford. Previously, that hasn't always worked. So what do you guys want to see to get United to the next level? Let me know in the chat. And also, just let me know how you are. Morning, mate. Good morning to you. I hope you're well. Who are the 2 doubts? I believe they're Bruno Fernandez and Xerxes, but I don't have any inside knowledge or anything like that. I don't have an inside scoop. It is believed to be Bruno and Xerxes. Personally, I get the feeling that Bruno will probably play anyway, would be my guess, just because he's Bruno and he doesn't seem to miss a game. First live show. Welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy it, my friend. Hope you enjoy it. Everything is possible with United, even defeat against 10 men. Exactly, and this is one of those ones where, you know, we can't slip up again. We saw that last week against Everton, last Monday. We did slip up. We had a great opportunity there, and we didn't perform in the way that we should. That can't happen again. There's such a great chance here to go into the top 5. And of course, it's the 4th of December. We're not even halfway through the season yet. So league position isn't the most important thing. But ultimately, by the end of the campaign, the points tally will matter. So this is a great moment for United to climb up. And I think it's the psychological boost that we can get from physically seeing ourselves moving up the table. Remember, we finished 15th last season. So if we can end the night in 5th, then I think, that's huge for the club. We've got David in the chat. David, good morning to you, my friend. The 22-month membership from David. What an absolute legend. An icon of the scene, saying, let's get this W. David, I completely agree. It is time for United to get on the front foot, take the game to West Ham, and find a way of securing some points. The question is, what are West Ham going to do? Because as much as we like to sit and talk about United and waffle about them all day long, every single day, we do have to consider the opposition. They are themselves without a couple of players. Somerville is out injured, and Paqueta is suspended. A very weird red card. I don't know if you guys saw that in midweek, which does cast some doubt over how West Ham are going to approach this game. Normally, Paqueta would play in this position here, in the 10. He's not available. Is Souček likely to come into that role? Possibly. I don't know. There is also potential for West Ham to shift to a back 5, especially because we play one ourselves. They might see it as an opportunity to match up man to man, which could happen, and it'd be interesting to see how United would approach that if we do see that. West Ham used the back 5 2 weeks ago, and then in midweek we're back in the 4-2-3-1. So I'm not entirely sure how they're going to approach it. Maybe one of you guys will have a bit more knowledge than what I do, but there's a bit of uncertainty over West Ham's shape and also starting 11. There isn't so much uncertainty over the way that they will play. West Ham are, should we say, pragmatic? Is that the kindest way of putting it? West Ham don't tend to play out from the back. They tend to punt the ball quite long. You know, they tend to just absolutely yeet it from goal kicks. A bit like United often tend to do as well. And also West Ham don't tend to be a side that press particularly high up the pitch. If you look at the bottom there, passes per defensive action, West Ham the most in the league. So what that means is the amount of passes the opposition are able to complete before the team makes a defensive interjection. So for that number to be high, it means that when teams play West Ham, they're able to get roughly 16.7 passes before West Ham put a tackle in, which, you know, implies that they're not particularly good at pressing, and they're not. If you watch them, they're very passive. Against Liverpool last week, almost no pressure on the ball high up the pitch. And I think we expect that from Nuno. I think we expect him to be a pragmatic manager, a manager that gets players behind the ball, plays in a low block, plays for counterattacks and set pieces, things like that. Last season, that didn't work very well for us. Nuno was manager of Nottingham Forest last season, you may recall. Now, they massively overperformed their whole campaign. Even in these games, you can see Forest outperforming their expected goals, but you can see that it was a problem. Manchester United dominated the ball in both games. 71% possession at home, 68% possession away from home. So it's fair to assume United will likely be dominant again tonight. Last season that didn't work for us. We actually lost both matches. But I think we're a different team now. I don't think we are the same team. We are still a side that struggles a little bit when we have the ball. This was the stat that we saw before the Crystal Palace game. United tend to be better when we have less of the ball. So tonight is a different challenge for us. It's a time for United to show that we can be proactive and we can be the team that dominates and breaks the team down. That's the challenge tonight. And potentially without Bruno Fernandez, that might be made quite difficult. So we need to try and find solutions. Now, we're going to work our way through the starting 11. Lomans is going to play in goal. The first thing I want to hear from you guys in the chat is your back 3. Your back 3 for tonight. De Ligt feels like an obvious one, who is always in contention. Lisandro Martinez played at the weekend. He got a few minutes. Is he ready for a start just yet? Let me know. If he is, his ball playing ability, his ability to break down a block could be really useful. If not, we do have Luke Shaw. On the right hand side, we've got Lenny Yoro, who's not in the greatest spell of form right now. He is struggling a little bit. And we also have Mazraoui. I would love to hear from you guys who you would be going for in the back 3. Considering a few things. The physicality of West Ham, particularly if they play Souček. West Ham are always a tough side to play against. They're always half decent at attacking set pieces. We also have to consider the height of the Manchester United defenders, right? How many fullbacks and centre-backs do we want to play? We also need to think about ball progression. Can these guys play in the first phase? And also, if West Ham sit deep, which centre-backs would be best for trying to play through them? And also, defending the counter-attack as well. All things that we need to consider. We've got a gifted membership from David. David, thank you so much. Like, I say this every time. I'm running out of words to thank you with. So, David, thank you very much as always. Guys, if you could do me a favour, please. If you see someone in the chat gifted a membership, renewing their membership, a super chat, anything like that, just show them some love. Spam some love hearts in the chat for them, or a United badge emoji if you are a member, something like that. Show that we appreciate their efforts. And we've also got Beef with the 21-month membership. He can't even hear me saying this because he's in class with no sound on, but he says, "Go United, suffer Liverpool." It was a good hate watch last night. It was a very, very good hate watch. If only Sunderland could have nicked that in the last minute, it would have been fantastic. But it was an enjoyable game to watch. Nonetheless, Beef, thank you very much. Even though you can't hear me, I need to learn sign language. All the tacticos will be creaming for Bruno to miss this game, so Kobbie plays. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Kobbie Mainoo play. I'm a big Kobbie Mainoo fan. I think he's a great player. I think he deserves more opportunities. But we want Bruno Fernandez. Of course we do. He's one of our best players. And I think particularly when you're looking for magic against a block, Bruno is someone that we would want. Even with Ten Hag, we're not that bad at breaking down the low block. Now, Ten Hag actually, I think, got us eventually to a point where we were quite good at it. Nuno will stick to 4. He doesn't have the wing-backs to cause us the problems that Palace did. Better to stick to the Everton model. Yeah, the only thing which makes me consider the back 5 is the fact that Paqueta's out and that they did switch to a back 5 a couple of weeks back. And there's a chance they just try and match us man-to-man. I don't think they will. I think they'll go for the 4. And off the ball, it'll often shift to a 4-4-2, is what we tend to see from West Ham. Bowen against Liverpool, they were in a 4-2-3-1 because Kirke's for Liverpool was really thrown forward down the left. Bowen actually almost ended up as a wing-back defensively. So they still sort of defended in a back 5 at times, which was quite interesting. They wouldn't want to do that if they can help it. They will want to keep Bowen as high as possible because he's the transitioning threat. So be an interesting one. Do you think Mount will come in for Bruno as Amorim doesn't use Kobbie much? I mean, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. I think what we need to do today is perhaps go through a starting 11 with Bruno and then go through a starting 11 without Bruno. So we cover both bases. We need to, because, you know, that will affect a lot, I think. Mazraoui, De Ligt and Shaw would be mint and really could set our backline for the rest of the season. We can't go mix and match every 3 games. Yeah, so the one thing I've enjoyed this season is the consistency of the back 3. Very often it's been Shaw, De Ligt, Yoro. And I'm always a fan of building connections, building understandings, relationships between players. And you get that by playing a lot of matches together. So I've enjoyed that. But if Yoro is out of form, and, you know, he's a very young player, he doesn't need to be a world beater tomorrow. So Is this a moment where we protect Yoro a little bit? We take him out of the team, we take him out of the spotlight, particularly with, I don't want to say it, but an easier game. Is that a chance to take Yoro out of the side for Mazraoui? I thought Mazraoui did very well when he came on the other day. I don't know about you guys. I very much see him as an outside centre-back in the 3, as opposed to a wing-back. You know, I don't see him in this position over here. For me, he is a centre-back. So this is a moment where we could bring him in. The only concern would be sort of the aerial presence that leaves you with in the back 3. But if this is a game where United are expecting to be dominant and on the front foot, does that matter so much? I'm not sure. I thought I was subscribed, but apparently not. You would be amazed at how often that happens. You watch someone a lot, so you assume you're subscribed, and you check and you're not. I've done it myself before. If you do enjoy the content, guys, if you could please leave a like on the stream, that would be great. And also, if you could subscribe, that would be amazing. Notifications on makes it even better. We're trying to push for 85,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We've got 1 month to go. So it's going to be a big push, but I believe that you guys, the legends you are, can get us there. Kuna can't be at the striker. Xerxes earned a place there. Better mount Xerxes and Mbumo to lead the line, and Kuna comes on for a strong finish. Definitely an option. So, back 3. It's going to be De Ligt. Right? We all know that. Because Maguire's not even fit right now. I think we are assuming that for now, Lisandro Martinez is not quite there. He's not quite there. He played, like, what? 9 minutes the other day, was it? Something like that. So he's not quite there. So I would assume Luke Shaw. So the question is Mazraoui or Yoro. Shall we do a poll? Yoro made one mistake. Apart from that, he's fine. Yeah, I think he's made one big mistake. I think he slips in the moment as well, to be honest. So it's a little bit harsh on him. I just think recently he hasn't been tip-top form. And that's not a problem. I'm not worried about him. He's going to be absolutely fine. He's a young player with so much potential, getting so much valuable experience. Even the bad moments is great for his development. But I also think no one should be untouchable at United. If your standard does drop a little bit, like Yoro's has, then we do have Mazraoui there who is available to us to use. For now, anyway, because we do have the African Cup of Nations coming up soon, where we will lose Mazraoui for a bit. So maybe we should be using Mazraoui whilst we can, get the most out of him. Protect Yoro, just take him out of the limelight, even if it's just for one game. Just give him that little break to sort of rest and reset and then go again in the next game. Potentially. If we were to take Yoro out, I don't see it as like a massive dropping of him. Just rotation. Just managing the team. Any idea on who the 2 people are that got injured? We believe it's Bruno Fernandez and Xerxes. But I also think both of them might play. Especially Bruno. I think Bruno will play still. I think if Xerxes is starting, we can get through with starting Mazraoui over Yoro, as Xerxes is a cover on set pieces too. Of course, we did the video yesterday. Manchester United have scored the most set pieces in the Premier League this season. Joint most. Yoro can be useful for that because of his height. Yeah, as can someone like Xerxes as well. Casemiro is always big for that. So that is something that we have to consider always. West Ham, the stat popped up last night. I think West Ham are the fourth... No, they might be the worst team in the league at defending set pieces, as in they've conceded the most goals. Now, that's sort of not true, because a lot of that happened in one game against Chelsea, where they conceded multiple in one game. But generally speaking, yeah, there probably is a vulnerability there with West Ham, which you can get at, and hopefully we're looking for solutions for that. AJ, you've been my most watched channel this year. That is insane. Quick Shorts, if that is true, that is very, very cool. Thank you so much for your support over the past 12 months. That is quality. Thank you very much. I don't expect to be anyone's top watch, to be honest, so that's actually really cool. Thank you. If Bruno doesn't play, who may be the captain? That's a good point, because we've got no Harry Maguire as well. I would assume it would go to probably Casemiro, and then De Ligt after that would be my guess. My guess? I think Yoro's mistake has been blown out of proportion by some. Yeah, he is a young lad, and he will make mistakes every now and then. We as a fan base need to back him up. But yeah, I won't be concerned. Yeah, I think, you know, he gets the situation wrong, he reads it, and then he has that human instinct of, I've made a mistake, let me make up for it. And he goes a bit clumsily into a tackle. I think he slips. I think he's off balance, which is maybe something we need to work on. He seems to be off balance quite a lot. But yeah, as you say, there's no need for us to absolutely pile in on him. Maybe just give him a break, because he's not been amazing for a few weeks. But yeah, he is still the exact same talent that we signed. He's better than he was 12 months ago. It's perfect. His development is going very well. You know, we want him to be a world-class centre-back in 4 years. Not today. So it's absolutely fine if you ask me. Luke Shaw could be captain with 301 appearances. Also very true. I think Mount needs to start ahead of Kuna. He's very hard-working. Yeah, that's fair. Kuna's also not lazy, I don't think. But yeah, there's levels in there when you play Mount. Anyway, the poll has Mazraoui coming into the team at centre-back, which is interesting because it also has a knock-on effect on who we play in the other positions. So let's take Yoro out of the team. Mazraoui comes into the back three. So we've made one change from the game against Crystal Palace so far. And I think that's understandable to make a change or two, because whilst we did grow into that game, we weren't fantastic still. We still didn't create from open play and things like that. So we need to improve on the last performance. Where do we go next? Do we go wing-back or do we go midfielders? We're going to go wing-backs. We're going to go wing-backs because I think they're very interesting for this game. The usual options, really. Ahmad on the right. It could also be Dalot, potentially. But I think everyone here is going to say Ahmad. I would put a lot of money on the fact that most people will want Ahmad. So it's pretty much Ahmad right wing-back. We're at home against a weaker team. Let's attack them. Let's get after them. He will have a defensive shift to do as well, because Diouf will come forward, especially if Fernandez plays left wing for West Ham, because he'll come inside. Diouf will fly around, so Ahmad will have some defensive responsibility. Maybe that's where Mazraoui can be useful. The bigger conversation is on the left. Is it Dalot or is it Dorgu? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I thought Dalot actually played very, very well at the weekend. I think his intensity up and down that left side was everything that we needed. When we were pressing, particularly in the first half, when not everyone did it well, I thought Dalot did. I think he picked up a lot of loose balls up against Munoz, who physically is a very difficult player to play against. One of the most relentless players in the league. So I think Dalot did a very, very good job. I'd be tempted to keep him. I'd be tempted to keep him and see if we can get some sort of rotation going in the final third, like what we saw the other day. That would be my thinking. The counter argument is Patrick Dorgu being naturally left-footed, being a little bit fresher, having not played the last game, and that is something that we have to think about. It's pretty much, is it the first or second time this season that we've had a midweek game? So there is a bit of management that comes into it that we haven't faced before. We have to think about who's fit, who's sharp, who needs some minutes in the legs, ready for the international period that's coming up with the African Cup of Nations, because it's all well and good that over the past 3 months we've been able to use 14 players, but we're going to lose 3 of those. So we need the next lot of players to also be ready. We can't just throw them in on the 17th of December when the AFCON starts. We can't just throw someone in and expect them to perform. It's about now getting the minutes in a leg, sort of preparing them. So that's something that we have to think about. We have to consider with our starting 11, not only today, but also on Monday as well. I think Ahmad is a given. Feels like he has to be, doesn't it? Because if not, we're going 2 fullbacks at wing back, which we don't want to see. It's one of our last opportunities to use Ahmad as a wing back this year, so I think we should go for it. I also think Dalot deserves to start this game after the last game. If we score and go up 2 or 3 goals, then bring Dalot to right wing back and Dorgu on at left wing back. Rest Ahmad for the last 15 or 20. I quite like that. Does anyone disagree? I trust Dorgu's defensive work more than Dalot's offensive work. That's quite an interesting way of looking at it. I quite like that. Him and Mount had a very good second half, manipulating the space on the left. Yeah, they just looked like they understood each other, with Bruno joining them as well, and Xerxes. I think that worked very nicely. Dalot plays well when he actually steps up and attacks the spaces in front of him. I completely agree with that. I think second half, he was just more eager to go into those spaces that were created. We know we always create space on the left flank. We always do it. We have a hesitance to always explore it. Dalot in the second half started to do it much more, and I think that worked for us massively. The interesting thing is, I can say with a fair degree of confidence, I don't think we're going to carry much 1 versus 1 threat down the left, whether it's Dalot or Dorgu. They're not going to get past Wan-Bissaka, I wouldn't think, unless they have some weird dribbling trick up their sleeve. They're going to struggle to get past Wan-Bissaka, because we all watched him for enough years at United. You don't beat him 1 versus 1. So I think realistically our threat down the left is going to have to be from being clever rather than pure like moments of 1 versus 1 brilliance. It's going to have to be clever. It's going to be rotational. It's going to be runs off the ball, selfless runs, decoy runs, things like that. If we go 2 or 3 up, do you think we should try Shaw at left wing back for 10 to 15 minutes? It's weird to think about with Luke Shaw at wing back. I like the idea because I think he's a more attacking option than the other players. I think he's got a better delivery, a better end product. The left foot brings a nice balance as well. The problem is, we've got that concern around his physicality, in the sense of the physical demand, the physical output required to play wing back. It's really tough, really tough. And Shaw is fragile at the best of times, right? Physically, he does pick up a lot of injuries. This season has been a lot better, but it's a very different role over here. Amorim has also himself said, I'm struggling to talk today. Amorim has said one of the other problems is for Shaw to play here, he needs to have played here. So like for him to feel confident starting Shaw, he almost suggested he needs minutes in this position before we throw him in and start him there regularly. He needs some spells there, some training there as well to understand the position, the requirements and what Amorim wants. Now, I'm of the opinion that Shaw could do it anyway. You know, I think he's good enough. I think he'd be absolutely fine. But Amorim's comments to me suggested he wouldn't be playing there. So the question of if you're 3-0 up, do you put him there for 15 is tricky because it's a good moment to. It's a good moment to test him out in that part of the pitch and see what he can do and if he's got the technical level for it. But also, if we're 2 or 3-0 up, is it not the perfect time to take him off and look after him? So it's a really weird one. I would be surprised to see him end up at left wing back tonight, based on Amorim's comments, unless we're chasing a goal. I think if we need a goal, Shaw to left wing back makes sense because of his output in the final third. So I think we will only see Shaw at wing back if we get desperate, which hopefully won't be the case. So hopefully we'll be fine. Son, good morning. I hope you're well. Why is no one talking about how poor Mbeumo has been? Because I think we understand the context of performance as well, right? It's not just about, has that player himself played particularly well or not? It's about the environment he's in, the players around him. I don't think the attack has performed very well over the past few games. Mbeumo's definitely part of that. He needs to up his levels again, but he's more than capable of doing that. We know how good Mbeumo is. He is still at a new club, despite it now being a couple of months. Yes, he scored some goals and had some good performances, but he's also had some quiet ones as well. I think we expect that from a new player. None of us sit here and claim that Manchester United are some high-functioning, brilliant attacking team. We know that we're not in open play, right? We don't move particularly well. We don't create well. Our tempo and intensity is often off. So I don't think we should be too harsh on Mbeumo. Yeah, the last couple of performances haven't been so great. I think there is still that problem of him and Ahmad not understanding each other. I think they're making too many similar runs again at the moment. I'm always of the opinion that we can shift Mbeumo to the left to change the attacking dynamic and to give us a winger over here. But I would expect he would be right side again. But we'll get to that a little bit later on. I think Dallo is better at attacking than Dorgu. I think he's a bit more technical with his passing, I think. I mean, final third, like delivery, I don't really trust either of them too much. But I think I would say that the general vibe is Dallo over Dorgu. Seems to be the impression I'm getting from the chat. So far, we've still only made one change from the weekend, and that is Mazraoui in for Yoro. However, as we get to midfield, we may not have a choice. Casemiro will almost definitely play. I would think he will almost definitely play. He's one booking away from suspension, which is terrifying, because if there's a man to get booked, it's him. It's him. It's him. So that's a little bit of a concern. But for this game, he can play. Is Bruno fit? We'll come back to it. Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo. These are our options and what we need to think about. We need to put it into context as to why Mbeumo hasn't been as good as he was before. Without Kuna, he has more responsibilities on his shoulder, and we want him to do a lot more. Absolutely. We also know, tactically, the impact that Kuna has is different to Mount. I don't think Mount draws the attention of so many defenders in the same way that Kuna does. So it does change things from Mbeumo. He also hasn't had Sesko alongside him. You know, he's been used to Kuna sort of attracting players towards him, Sesko then making a run, and then Mbeumo gets space. Recently, with someone like Xerxes, that changes a lot, but also Mount or whoever has played in the left 10. So yeah, it's different for him. It's different for him. And it's not sort of our ideal dynamic right now, but it's something we've got to work with, I guess. The Bruno question. But there's two questions. First of all, is he fit? The second question is, where do we play him if he is fit? This is what I can find on the Bruno situation. Now, Sun in the chat might have a better update because Sun is better with her news than what I am. But we saw Bruno try to clear the ball the other day on the edge of his box and completely miskick it. Or not even, he just missed it. Straight up air kick. A couple of moments later, he's holding the hamstring. Concerning. Amorim said after the game he's fine, it's just a knock. Then we later confirmed, yeah, it's definitely a knock, and Amorim said there's some fitness concerns. Is Bruno one of them? And then Sully, who has been quite good, has deleted this tweet, but said that Bruno and Xerxes trained yesterday at Carrington, but they are both set for late fitness tests. Now, if they trained, that would suggest to me it's nothing bad. You know, we're not looking at Bruno being out for more than one game. But he might be out for this one. If it is tight, if there's a knock there, we need him for this game. Of course we do. But we also need him in the long term. I think if it's touch and go, I think we should leave him out and just look at the long-term project. You know, we're going to need Amorim. We're going to need Bruno for the Christmas spell. Absolutely. He's going to be huge for us for the whole month. So if there's a doubt there, I wouldn't start him. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I think he'll play. If I was a betting man, I would think Bruno would play. Now, again, I don't have inside knowledge or anything like that, so don't take my word for too much, to be honest. But I get the feeling he's going to play just because he always plays. Is what Bruno Fernandez does. He doesn't miss football matches. He'll know that his team needs him, and I think he'll do everything to try and be fit for it. Xerxes is one where we can perhaps look after him a little bit more because we've got more options of different players that could come in. With Kuna returning, Kuna could come into the team in place of Xerxes. For Bruno, we have less of a direct replacement, apart from the likes of Kobbie Mainoo and Ugarte. So what I want to do today is, first of all, cover the basics. If Bruno plays under Ruben Amorim tonight, it will be these two in midfield. I think it's as simple as that. I think he will want the experience of these two. If we're trying to break down a low block, I think he will want the passing range of these two. He will want Casemiro's threat on the set pieces, which are huge for us. And he knows that both of these can score a goal, get an assist at any moment because of their quality. So I think he would want them against a block. But what if we take out Bruno? What if Bruno, let's say, just for this idea, let's say Bruno is unavailable. What would your midfield two be, just out of curiosity? What would your two be? Because you would think you just keep Casemiro in. But who do you partner with Casemiro? Because if you go with Kobbie Mainoo, then you're really lacking legs in defensive transition. You're lacking ground coverage and intensity, which would be concerning. But if you go Ugarte next to him, you just don't have enough, particularly at home. So if we were forced to take Bruno out tonight, do you think Casemiro has to come out as well? Because I don't know if Ugarte or Kobe work with Casemiro. So maybe at that point, Casemiro has to come out as well, and then you go for that midfield too. What do we think of that? Let me know what you think in the chat. Can Mainu control the game the way that Bruno does? Bruno indicates other players where to pass. No, I think it's very different. I think Bruno's a leader. I think he sort of sets the example for the rest of the team. He's almost like the coach on the pitch at times. I don't think Kobe has that same presence, so I think it's a different way of control. I think even stylistically, Bruno's a player who controls with his passing, whereas Kobe's a player who controls with his tempo shifts, his ability to slow the game down up before then speeding it. So I think it's a different form of control, and I think losing Bruno, is always going to be a loss if that is the case. I'd put Casemiro and Kobe Mainu, ask Shaw to help cover the gap in midfield, and the left wing back plays a little bit deeper. I guess, David, the other option would be, if you're worried about the legs here, first of all, I've seen people saying Mount could come and play centre mid, which is possible, but I think unlikely. But maybe he could go in the 10, and whatever side it is, be the extra player, dropping in, helping with the lack of legs. That's something that we could do, almost making a third midfielder. Mount said in an interview last week that he sort of sees himself as a midfielder. So maybe if we're without Bruno, Mount might be the solution. But only if we play Kobe, if you ask me, because I think if we went like this, and then Mount as well, that's really missing something, if you ask me. That's not enough for us in a game which we think will dominate. So basically, I guess, I don't like this solution. For me, this is not an option that I'd be going for. I wouldn't settle on this. If it's not Bruno, it's Kobe with one of these two. And then it's about who. Maybe you go Casemiro because he's sharper. It'd be very risky to put Mainu and Ugarte, neither of which have played much football. That would be a risk. It's got to be Kobe. We're going to face a low block. We have to score first. I don't hate Ugarte as if we have to. Okay, I'm not quite picking up the last bit, but I get the idea of the message. Without Bruno, we get a Grimsby game. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I think for me, if Bruno's fit, he plays. He plays in the midfield too with Casemiro. That will happen. I think if Bruno's not fit, I would go Kobe. I think that's what I would do, and probably Mount as well to make up for some extra energy, and then I would structure the rest of the attack around that. I think that's what I would do if I was Amorim. I think that's the way that I would approach it. Hopefully, and we're going to assume for today, because I think he will be. I think Bruno will be fit, and I think Bruno will play. We all remember that Spurs game the other year, right? Where he posted a picture online of him on his sofa with his foot up in some sort of cast boot thing, and then 2 days later he plays 90 minutes against Spurs. So yeah. You're talking like the guy is not a good player. He's a special talent. I assume you're referencing Kobe Mainu there. I agree. I think he's phenomenal at football. I think Kobe's amazing. Love him as a player. I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's absolutely incredible. I think we've mismanaged him and we've let him down, his development as a player. It's our job to rectify that. Hopefully we can do that. Tonight, I think it will be Bruno, though. That's just how I think it will be. Kobe starts for me. If Bruno's not fit, you mean, yeah? And that's the thing. If Kobe does get his chance tonight, first of all, don't expect perfection because he hasn't played. He hasn't been playing football, so he's not up to full sharpness, full fitness. He's not match sharp. He doesn't understand the flow of the game right now because he's not used to playing in it. So that's something to consider. But having said that, he's got to go out there and take his opportunity. If he gets a moment in the team, go and play. And be the Kobe Mainu that we know that he is. And it is that tight dribbling. It's the footwork. It's the tempo switches, which he's so good at. And no one else at the club can do. If he plays, he's got to take his opportunity. This is his chance tonight to really make something, particularly with players going away soon. This is his chance, if he plays, to sort of have that moment. But for what it's worth, I don't think he'll play. I think it'll be Bruno Fernandez. So let's assume it's Bruno Fernandez. Where do you guys go for your front three? How do you guys feel about this? Now, it could be Xerxes. Again, we don't know what's going on in terms of his fitness. I believe he's trained. Is he going to be available? I don't know. I don't know. Let's, again, for today, assume that he is. We've also got Brian and Bumo. Pretty good at football. Pretty good at football. I'd like a goal from him because I want United to win, and I've got him in my FPL. Kuna, back and available, ready for selection. If you play him, how do you get the best out of him? Who do you get around him? That's something to consider. And also Mount, because Mount was good the other day. I don't think it was his best performance, to tell the truth. I think it's one of those ones where without his goal would be, or he would be accused of not doing anything and not really having an impact. I think the goal helped him a lot. But hopefully that gives him some momentum, some confidence. He can take that goal into the next game. And we know that he's always a player that helps in terms of the standards of the intensity, of the press, the way that we play off the ball. And on the ball, he's a very clever player as well. I think the other day he rotated with Dallo really well. Those two actually struck up quite a nice balance, I thought. They're still lacking a winger with them, but I thought they did well considering. So it is who you pick from those guys. Alex, good morning to you, my friend. I hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. Did you enjoy the rest of the league dropping points last night? Chelsea lost to Leeds. I think I'm right in saying if we win, we go joint with Chelsea on points. We do. I heard Chelsea the other day called title contenders. Just saying. Just saying. So if they are, we are, right? Something like that. Something like that. Bruno's concern for now is just a guess because of the Crystal Palace game, so it's not 100% sure if he's injured, but we all know Bruno won't be a surprise if he's fully fit. Yeah, I just think he'll play. So, something else that we need to consider here, David's pointed it out, is the confidence of players as well. Ultimately, football is a results business. It's about getting 3 points tonight. It's about getting 3 points Monday and then Sunday whenever we play. Sure. But also, you're managing a lot of human beings here as well. You're managing a lot of livelihoods. You're managing a lot of careers, a lot of very emotional people. And for Amorim, this is the part of management that we don't see so much. Keeping people happy is a big part of being a manager in football. If you want to succeed, your squad's got to like you. And they've got to trust you and they've got to feel loved by you as well. So that is something that we do need to consider because Xerxes played well the other day. So do you play him again? Do you play him again? Do you get him back in the starting 11 because he was crucial to us in the second half the other day? Or do you take him out for players that I believe are better footballers? That's something you got to try and get right. It's the same with Mount. You know, he got us the winning goal the other day. So do you reward that with another start? Or do you have to take him out for someone else? These are things you got to think about. We also know that Mount the other day played 90 minutes in the Premier League for the first time at United. Was a stat that I saw the other day, and I believe it's true, which is mental to me, like mind-blowing. That's how long has he been here? 2.5 years, and he just got his first 90 minutes in the league, which is crazy. That's sort of a sign of how badly it's gone. It's great now that he's at this standard of fitness. The question is, does that mean he just needs one off? If he played 90 the other day, does he need, he's 30 tonight, plenty for him. Does he need 30? In short, yes, reward the goal scorers this time. I'm trying to think, say, for example, just how this balance works. Because I think Xerxes and Kuna can be quite similar in the way that they play, except Cunha's like the feisty version of Xerxes. Xerxes is like this laid-back guy. Kuna is the opposite. He gets the ball and he drives and he's hungry and takes people on. Obviously, slightly different stylistically. But I think the area they like to roam to is quite similar. When Kuna plays up front, he likes to drift left. When Xerxes played up front the other day, he likes to drift left. He likes to get on the ball. He's not going to stretch him behind too much. He wants to link with people. They're both decent ball carriers. Kuna, of course, the better one. They're quite similar in some ways. Are they too similar? Are they too similar to each other? Does it work with both of them? You want me to watch West Ham games? No one wants you to watch West Ham games. Yeah. But Paqueta is out. He got a red card the other day for... watch it, right? It's a weird one. He's booked and then he just keeps mouthing off at the ref. He might as well have gone up to the ref and gone, can you book me, please, mate? And he got it. So he is suspended for tonight's game. Good morning, AJ. Correct me if I am wrong, but this is the same squad from the Palace match. First of all, Simon, good morning to you. Hope you're well, mate. It's close. We've brought in Mazraoui for Euro. That's the change that we've made to the starting 11 from the other day. Now we're trying to figure out our front three. Obviously, if we end up with Mount here, yeah, the only change is here. Which, I don't know, is that enough of a change? Now, for those of you that are sort of joining, we've had people coming in drips and drabs throughout the stream. Something that we've mentioned with West Ham is the way that they play football. They're not too fussed about pretty football. It's pragmatic, it's direct, it's combative, it's a lot of duels, it's a lot of fights. Often long on goal kicks. Of course, they'll occasionally play out. Of course they will. Of course they will. They're a Premier League side. But most of the time, they're going to lean towards going long. And in terms of pressing, again, of course, they'll occasionally do it. They're a Premier League team. We can see Everton are low for pressing, yet they started with the high press against United. But typically, West Ham are deep. They don't press. So they don't tend to play from goal kicks, and they don't tend to press high. So that sort of tells you what sort of side they are. Nuno is their manager. We faced Nuno twice last season, and we completely dominated the ball in both games, 71% and 68%. But you will notice that we lost both of them. And that's because typically, under Amorim, we are not so great when we have the ball. This was prior to Crystal Palace, I should point that out. But we're not great when we have more of the ball than the opposition. And that's something that we need to get better at. So that's just something to keep in mind in terms of beating West Ham. I'm looking at this 11, and I'm just trying to think if there's a lot that I would change. Kuna, I don't really know where he's at in terms of fitness. Is he sort of ready to go and play and be fine? If Mount's fit, I think I would like to see him start again, because I liked what we were creating over here. I liked what we started to see. And again, we've said already, I think we lack 1-versus-1 threat against Wan-Bissaka. So I think passing, moving, being clever, rotating will be more important. And I think Mount is the sort of player that suits that. So I would quite like to see Mount in the team. And if Mount's in the team, it's on the left. So I think for me, it's sort of Xerxes or Kuna up front. I think that's where I'm at. Should we do a poll? Because I think I want Mount in my team tonight. Because of what he does with Dalot and Bruno. Should Bruno play? Let's do that. Let's do that poll. Xerxes or Kuna. And depending on the result of that, we might do a poll for the left side as well. We'll sort of see how it plays out. If Xerxes has ever deserved to start back-to-back games, this is it. And if Mount is fit enough, then start him. Yeah, that's a fair way of looking at it. Again, man management is big. In football, we're going to need all of these players over the next month or so. Keep them all happy. If Xerxes scored, let him build on that. Let him get another goal tonight, hopefully. You know, I think you can work with that. I'd prefer Xerxes and Bruno to start, so pick one from Mount and Kuna. That's a fair way of looking at it. Surely, for confidence reasons, Xerxes should start, looking less rusty the more he plays too. I was saying this the other day. I don't know if you're on this stream or not, but I think different types of players need different levels of sharpness. Of course, all players need maximum sharpness to be at their best performance. But I think an explosive 1-versus-1 player can sort of come in a bit quicker and just hit the ground running. If I'm like a 1v1 specialist as a winger, I think I can come in and quite quickly get to grips with it. I think players like Xerxes, I think players like Kobbie Mainoo, maybe even Mount as well. Those players who sort of want to combine with people more, feed off of other people more. I think they need to know the flow of the game a little bit more. And that's why I think those players benefit more from sharpness. They probably take longer to get up to speed as well because of that. So I think for Xerxes, you're right. I think the more Xerxes plays, the better he will become. I think he's that sort of player who needs to know the flow. I think it's why Kobbie has struggled a couple of times when he comes on from the bench, because he's not got the flow. He's not got the rhythm. He needs to play football to get that. I think these types of players need the rhythm of games, the rhythm of minutes. And Xerxes and Kobbie haven't had the luxury of getting that. Xerxes now maybe has a moment where he can. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you just keep going with that. We've also got to think, Kuna from the bench. He's probably the nicest bench option. He's probably the best attacker out of the three that we're discussing, Mount, Xerxes, Kuna. Kuna can make a big impact. Absolutely. So he's not a bad player to have there. We need to keep the players fit, especially Xerxes. If he gets injured, then we have had it up front. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It is tricky because we don't know about Mount because he's played 90 for the first time. Is Bruno even fit? I don't know. Is Xerxes even fit? I don't know. How fit is Kuna? It's tricky. It's very tricky. Luke Shaw is a player who always feels like you got to look after him. But also we need results. We need points. So it's tough. It's tough. I think... I can't decide. I can't decide between Kuna and Xerxes personally. The poll currently is 59% Xerxes, which is understandable. He did play well at the weekend. It's just gone up to 60%. If you want to have your say, open up the chat. There's a poll at the bottom of that chat. Click it. It's free to do. And click which option you like out of Xerxes and Kuna up front for United tonight. I just hope it isn't a repeat of last Monday. The Stretford end was quite reactionary. I think it has the right to be, in a way. Look, the moment is there. The opportunity is there for United to bounce themselves up the table. And, you know, we'd then be looking at 2 wins in a row, going away to Wolves, who are the worst team in the league. You feel like you're in a great place then to get 3 wins in a row. If we do that, we're looking at 6 wins from 9. And again, the conversation changes. We went from 3 wins from 3 to 5 games unbeaten to 3 games without a win. Now we can turn it again to a few wins in a row. And, you know, 1 loss in 9, for example. That'd be a great thing for United. So it's just too good an opportunity to pass up on. I'm not too fussed about league position, but we just need points. We need points and we need confidence. And the way to get that is to win, is to score goals. So that's the thing we've got to figure out. The poll's going Xerxes, and I'm not going to go against the poll on this one because I'm uncertain myself. So this is the 11 that we have created. Is there a discussion for Kuna versus Mount here? Or do we just trust that Mount will play being rewarded for a decent performance and Kuna not being fully fit? Funnily enough, this is a game that's perfect to start Cobby in. Yeah, it absolutely is. You know, yeah. If United want to play with the football, Cobby Mainoo's a player that you should be building the whole thing around, to be honest. But Amorim's not going to, unfortunately. Who are we putting on left forward? Yeah, it's Mount or Kuna, really. Cunha's the better player, the more dangerous player. I guess he's more of a goal scorer. With Xerxes in the team, you feel like you're less likely to get goal output. So maybe you want Kuna, who is more of a goal grabber. I don't know, I just really enjoyed Mount's movements with Dalot the other night. I thought the way that they countered each other was nice. Especially when Shaw started coming forward as well, because we were on top. And, you know, you get that left foot coming forward. I just thought the dynamic was really good over here. And Xerxes was great at it as well. I don't know that there's a need to change it. But we also didn't play amazingly. So it's poll time. Poll time, because also you can't be having Kuna in your team because he's fantastic. And we did lack something. We have lacked something without him in the team. He's a maverick in a way that Mount isn't. And Mbeumo isn't a maverick in the same way that Kuna is. There is a chance Licha will start. Yeah, I think there is a chance. I just think it's a little bit unlikely considering he only had 9 the other day after such a long injury. I think we'll see a couple of 30-minute cameos from him before we see him in the starting 11. See, I've now talked myself into thinking if Cunha's fit enough, I would play him and look after Mount. Get Cunha and Mbeumo both back in the 10s, which would be fun to see because we haven't seen it enough this season considering that's what we signed him for. And of course, if Cunha isn't fit enough, then Mount is an easy one. It's an easy pick. If Cunha's fit to start, though, I'd like to see him here. No Bruno left 10 option. Yeah, that is something that we could talk about. Again, I just don't think Amorim would do it. I might be off with that. I might be wrong, but I don't think he'll do it. I don't think he'll do it. Oh, by the way, guys, listen to Alex in the chat talking absolute sense as he always does. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. I agree. You should absolutely do that. Please and thank you. Mount starts and Cunha from the bench for me. I just worry about a slightly stodgy first half, and I wonder if you need Cunha's sort of game-breaking quality to get us through those moments. But then Mount's ability to rotate off the ball might be what we need. What's the poll saying? The poll's currently saying Mason Mount, which, by the way, I don't think we would have seen in the summer. Can you imagine if in the summer we did a poll and both Xerxes and Mount were picked ahead of Cunha? Of course, he's got an injury problem, but who are the two mystery players out? Any idea? I don't have any inside knowledge, but I do have the ability to find stuff. And what we have found is this. It's sort of suspected that it might be Bruno and Xerxes. I get the feeling they're both going to play. The fact that they trained, supposedly, according to that bottom post, which was then deleted, the fact that they trained suggests to me the injuries aren't that bad. AJ, what did you make of Casemiro versus Palace? Felt like his distribution was a bit off. Yeah, I don't think he was as good. I think he's had a good season so far, Cassie. I think he's done really well. But yeah, he was off it the other day. I thought the midfield looked a bit too energetic for him as well. Particularly in the first 45, he looked a little bit overwhelmed, which we sort of expect on a mobility front, I guess. I think he, like everyone, got better as the game went on. But I think he is one of those players, right, where particularly with his passing game, he's either going to be magnificent because he's so good at passing. His long passing range is fantastic. He's weirdly creative in the final third. He can play around the corner. But they're so risky. It feels like Casemiro with his passing, you get like a 9 out of 10 or like a 3 out of 10. The other day was more towards the poor side, and it becomes frustrating because he's given the ball away carelessly. But you sort of understand why he's trying to do it, because at any moment he might find a killer pass. So it's a weird one, and he just sort of like, just ended up not really doing the forward passing in the end. So it weren't great from him. I certainly think he'll play again, though. I think he'll play. First time catching one of these live. Welcome to the stream, my friend. Currently 6:51 a.m. for me. Whereabouts in the world are you? 6:51. It's 11:52 a.m. for me, but good morning to you, my friend. I hope you're well. Up nice and early. We love to see it. What time does that mean kickoff is for you then? Like early afternoon. I think we will see Shaw as a left wing back soon. When the manager starts talking about it, it's going to happen. That's a good way of looking at it as well. I like it. Do you think this team even knows how to build up and break low blocks? Not particularly effectively, but that's something that we need to try and get better at. So how do we beat the low block, which probably would be the case today? Is it easier with Mount or Cunha or even Xerxes playing left 10? It's so tough, right? Because I think Cunha's got the better game-breaking quality. I think he's got the moment to make something happen, score a worldie, beat 4 players on a dribble. I also like, against a block, that he attracts people, which I think is important in this game. Because when there's lots of players behind the ball, you want to try and drag them away. And I think Cunha's got the presence, the threat to do that. He's got the reputation. So defenders do get close to him because they're scared of him. That's when you open up room for others. I think that's why Mbumo would benefit if Cunha played. Having said that, no, let's keep the ball on the pitch. I think Mount's combination plays a little bit better. I think he's more selfless with a run off the ball. Let's say Dallow's got the ball here. I think Cunha comes towards him and wants the ball to feet, whereas I think Mount will go in behind to make space for someone else. So it's a really, really tricky one in terms of who's better. I think it depends on the rest of the players around them as well. I think I just about lean towards Mount. Just with, if Cunha's not match sharp, he's not fully fit. When did Cunha last play for United? He didn't play Everton, did he? So did he last play before the international break, or am I miles off with that? Someone help me out. I'm struggling here. But, if it's been that many weeks since he played, then you'd suggest he's not sharp, and a bench cameo is probably better. What was Maguire's injury? I actually have no idea. Like, none at all. Son says maybe it's a hamstring / a muscle injury for big old Baz Maguire. Cunha and Dalot tend to occupy the same spaces too. Yeah, that's something which sort of makes me lean towards Mount. I think just his work with Dalot, I think the counter movements were good the other day. I felt like if one went in, the other one went out, they sort of worked nicely. He played for Brazil, but he hasn't played since, right? So, yeah, so he's a couple of weeks out. So maybe 30 minutes from the bench, then start him at the weekend and protect Mount. Maybe that's the play. Yeah, impact from the bench tonight. You can start at the weekend. That works for me. I'm just looking at our subs. Kuna, Lacey, Kobe, Ugarte, probably. Euro, Licha, Dorgu. Probably Heaven. How many are we allowed? Is it 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Buy in there. What a man, what a man, what a man. There's a lack of true attacking quality. You know, Lacey, of course, we're very excited about him, but he's not a made player, is he? He's not the real deal yet. He's not the finished product, I should say. Yeah, there's a lack of star quality from the bench, but, you know, we always trust that Kobe and Kuna can both make a difference as well. I'm looking at wing-back options as it being a little bit disappointing. I'd like someone a bit more attacking than Dorgu, but we just know the squad doesn't possess that currently. It would be cool if we can see Lisandro Martinez again tonight, 20 minutes, just to get him back up to speed. That would be great to see. But I don't mind this team. I think it's enough to beat West Ham. I don't like this West Ham team. I don't think they're very good. Of course, they've got good players. I think Bowen's a fantastic footballer. Wilson's a good finisher. We know Wan-Bissaka's good. Todibo. Diouf's good. I like Fernandez. Souček's effective with his physicality. They've got some good players. I just think we should have too much for them. I think what we need to do tonight, I think we need to make sure that we compete physically, as always, but West Ham will be ready for that. West Ham will be ready for a bit of a scrap, a bit of a battle, a bit of a duel. So United have to be there. On that, we have to be on point, which is where players like Mount are quite useful. I think once we've got past that, it's a case of being quite patient for United, which isn't something we always do. But I think United need to be patient with the way that we work through West Ham. I don't think we need to panic too early and spam crosses into the box. I think it's about being patient, pulling these West Ham players out, and then finding the space in behind. Now, there's always a chance that West Ham throw a shock at us and start pressing, but they haven't done that this season. Not at all. So I'd be surprised if they did. I think this is an exercise of patience, breaking down a low block for United, which we're not great at, to tell the truth. We're not great at, but hopefully tonight is a night where that can change. Fullbacks at centre-back, Shaw and Mazraoui, hopefully they can help us. More progressive than centre-backs, and also more freedom and more comfortable being flexible out wide, which could be useful. Casemiro and Bruno, you trust their passing range. They've got to make sure the tempo's right. Speed up at the right time, slow it down at the right time. Looking at across the front line, I'm a little bit worried about pure goal output, to be honest. Apart from Mbeumo, I don't see a reliable goal scorer. But we know always that these two can be very threatening if they get it right. If this is a night where they click, they can do a lot. Down the left, we're lacking 1-versus-1 quality, particularly against Wan-Bissaka. Combination works, what you're looking for. Bruno getting near them, Xerxes getting near them. Create space, attack space. That'll be the main plan down the left-hand side. And I think set pieces, as always, will be a big part of United's game, which you're looking at De Ligt, Casemiro, Dalot, one of our taller players for today, and also Xerxes, Mazraoui up there as well. So, yeah. I think I'm confident. I'm quite confident. What I do want to hear from you guys is score predictions in the chat. Score predictions, goal scorers. If you're a member, you can use our custom emojis where you can pick the goal scorers. And also, sort of your theme of the game. Like, is it going to be United dominating, or are we going to have to play through a press, or is it going to be quite end-to-end, a bit like a basketball game? What do you expect them? What do you expect them? AJ, how are you, man? I'm pretty darn good. I can't complain. I can't complain. Did you check the team news released a few minutes ago? I have not seen any recent team news, no. Time to go bubble bursting tonight. Yes, please. Last time we played West Ham at home, they well and truly burst my bubble, because it's a game that I went to at Old Trafford for the first time, and it was an absolute shocker of a game. Ugarte makes a horrendous decision on the ball. Awful game. Awful game of football. Bruno is available. I hope so. I hope so. 1-0 loss. Okay, that's not the energy I was looking for, but I respect it. 2-0 win. Who are your goal scorers, guys? Who are your goal scorers? Who's grabbing them? Is it Mbeumo? Is it Kuna? Is it Bruno? Who's grabbing those goals? 4-0 and a second clean sheet. I'd love a clean sheet tonight. 9-0 up to 4th. Yes, please. 1-0 win. Yes, please. 2-0 United. Mbeumo, Ahmad. I like it. 2-0 win. Hopeful 2-0. 3-1 because West Ham always score against us. I believe we haven't beat them in 5 games, was it? Something like that. Can't talk about the theme unless I know the team sheet. That's fair, that's fair. In that case, I want to see you in the Discord server tonight when team news is released and we can talk about it then. There is a link in the description of this stream if you want to join the Discord. It's completely free to do and there's loads of great people there waffling about United. It's lovely, it's lovely. Bruno is in the squad according to Sully. He's fit. Oh, it's over for West Ham. David with the super chat. Thank you very much, my friend, as always. He says 3-0 United. Clean sheet, please. I completely agree with that. Mbumo, Ahmad, Kuna. You can't beat your attacking players doing a job and getting goals. It just hits different. Love it. 4-0 says Son. Love that. Mount, Kuna, Mbumo, and Delict with a Lomans clean sheet. Callum says a 3-0 dub with a Bruno pen, short arriving edge of the box to fizz it far bottom corner. I love how specific that is. And Mbumo with a worldy far post bend. Here for it. Here for it. 3-1 win. I'm expecting a cagey performance, but we must score first. I think that's huge. I think that's a great point. In this sort of game, I think you have to score first because we're not great against a block. If West Ham go 1-0 up, they're going to park 17 buses in their goal, so we need the first goal. Yes, we do have a Discord server. It is linked at the top of the chat. David, is that the latest link or not? Because it changes. If you wouldn't mind just checking it for me, please, and thank you all. My prediction? Good question. I'm allowed to predict again now because I weren't allowed to for a while, for those that don't know, because when I stopped predicting, we started winning. Then we lost to Everton, so I'm allowed to predict again. I'm going to go... Does the table have how many West Ham has scored? 15 goals. Conceded 27. They've only conceded 7 more than us. That's crazy. Should be fine. All right, guys, check the Discord link at the top of the chat if you haven't already. Like I said, completely free to join. Over 800 United fans waffling about United. What more could you want? Transfers, player discussion, tactics, team news, and, of course, everyone watches the match together as well. Lovely. My prediction is going to be... I'm going to go 3-1 United. I got a feeling Souček scores just because he's that guy and he's just the sort of guy to score against United just because he wants to annoy us. So, Souček to score. For United, United grab 3. I'm going to go for Bruno. I think he's overdue a goal. It's been a while. We don't normally have to wait this long for it. So, I think a Bruno goal. I might go Bruno goal. Mbumo brace? Bruno goal and Mbumo brace. 3-1 United. Quite like it. Quite like it. I would love a clean sheet. I just get the feeling West Ham will find one just to make it a little bit more tricky. We never make it too easy for ourselves, do we? We never make it too easy. Anyway, I believe that is everything. Just having a quick look through. These are our upcoming fixtures. It's why we got such great opportunity. There's some very tricky ones coming up, which is why these next 2 are very important to make sure we win those games. The results have gone our way. We spoke about the league table. Sure, United having the ball. Lovely. West Ham go long. Bruno. Nuno. Yeah, we have covered everything that I wanted to cover today. And by the way, guys, make sure you do not fall for that message in the chat saying Bruno has not travelled to London to face West Ham. That is not incorrect. But it's also doesn't mean anything because we're playing a home game. You tried it. You tried it. But he hasn't travelled to London because we're playing in Manchester. Duncan with the £2 super chat. Duncan, thank you very much. Keep an eye on Juff for West Ham tonight. Left wing back target. Absolutely. Very good player. I did a video looking at him last week. We discussed some wing back targets and he was one of them. So, yeah. Make sure to check out that video if you haven't already seen it. There's loads of content on the channel right now that you can go and check out, talking about set pieces, midfield targets, wing-back targets, what we need to do better, what we're doing well, what Xerxes doing, what other guys are doing. Stream-wise, we will not have a stream tomorrow because of this match. We also won't have a video today because of this match, right? The video would be out at the same time as kickoff, so it doesn't make sense. So we will have a video out tomorrow morning breaking down, hopefully, fingers crossed, a United win against West Ham. And then we'll just keep going from there. So the next stream will now be next week as we look ahead to more fixtures. But for now, that is all I want to talk about. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to everyone with the super chats, the gifted memberships, the renewal of memberships. You're all absolute legends. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the polls, everyone who liked, subscribed, got the notifications on and joined the Discord server. You guys are all absolute legends. Hopefully, Manchester United reward you with a nice, comfortable, confident, dominant win. And we climb into the top 5. Then we beat Wolves. And the season is just getting started. Lovely. Lovely stuff. Thank you very much for watching. And I shall see you guys for a video tomorrow. And hopefully I'm smiling and not depressed in it. That'd be lovely.